We're going to talk about how to learn and use the library of functions. The idea behind using library functions is that they're simple and easy to graph. The best way to learn functions from the library is to know a few points on each function in addition to knowing the general shape of the function. Because the functions are so simple, what we will do is we will basically generate a small table of function values mentally, plot those points, and then draw the function through the points using the general shape that we know. We will use library functions in addition to transformations to allow us to graph various functions. This is the identity function. Its equation is y is equal to x. And the first thing that we want to do is draw 3 points the function goes through. So we know when x is -1, y will be -1. When x is 0, y will be 0. When x is 1, y will be 1. Now, we can draw the function through our 3 points. We know that the equation y is equal to x represents a line, and so we draw a straight line through our 3 points. This is the squaring function. We're going to generate 3 points that our function goes through. So, when x is -1, -1 squared is 1. When x is 0, we have 0 squared is 0. And when x is 1, we have that 1 squared is 1. Once we have our 3 points, we can draw our function. Our function is a smooth U-shaped curve through all 3 points called a parabola. This is the cubing function. We're going to first plot 3 points. When x is -1, we'll get -1 for y. When x is 0, y will be 0. And when x is 1, y will be 1. Once we have the 3 points, we can draw our function through those points. We notice that we have a graph that is decreasing as it goes to the left and increasing as it goes to the right. It also is flat around the origin. This is our absolute value function. Recall that the absolute value of a number is the distance from that number to 0 on a number line. Another way to think about that is that the absolute value function removes the sign. So if we have a negative number, our negative number will become positive, and if we have a positive number, that positive number will remain positive. So we'll go ahead and draw our 3 points. If x is -1, we remove the negative sign and y is 1. If x is 0, y is 0, and if x is 1, y is 1. Now our absolute value function will look like 2 straight lines meeting in the origin at a V. This is our square root function. When we choose our 3 points for our square root function, we want to make sure that we choose x values that are perfect squares so that we get nice even y values that make our plotting easier. So first we're going to choose 0 for x and we'll get 0 for y. We'll then choose 1 for x and get 1 for y. And then we can choose our next perfect square, which is 4 for x, giving us a value of 2 for y. Notice that we don't take square roots of negative numbers, so we're not choosing any negative values for x. Now we can draw our function. What you should notice is that it looks like half a parabola turned on its side. This is our cube root function. Again, when we pick our 3 points for a cube root function, we're going to make sure that we choose numbers that are perfect cubes so that we get nice even values for y. Now, -1 is a perfect cube and its cube root is -1. We can use 0 for x and get 0 for y, and then 1 for x gives us 1 for y. The next step is to draw our function through the 3 points, and if we draw our curve, we see that it comes in from the left and goes through all 3 points extending to the right and becomes more vertical as it passes through the origin. So it looks like the cubing function turned on its side. This is the reciprocal function. The reciprocal function is special because it has two pieces. So we're going to use 6 points to graph 3 on each piece. The first value for x that we're going to use is -2. If we take 1 over -2, we get a y value of -1/2. Then we're going to say x is -1, and we get y is -1. And then finally we'll do x is -1/2, and that'll give us a y value of -2. Next, we'll use an x value of 1/2, which will give us a y value of 2. X is 1, which gives us y is 1. And x is 2, which gives us a y value of 1/2. Let's first draw the curve through the left 3 points, and then we'll draw the curve through the right 3 points. What you should notice is that this graph does not cross any of the axes. It does not touch the x or y axis in either piece.